What is your gender?
My gender?
I'm a mechanic. Mechanic. That is your gender? Yeah.
I think every woman has the right to choose whether or not she
You
has a baby.
told me, and you told the camera, that you think it's okay the day before birth for a woman to inject a solution into her child to stop
But
its
that's not
heart.
what I said. You're
and then
saying that.
You said it's okay to do that.
I think that the mom needs to be able to decide. And I know that's a cop-out to say that, but
Should she legally be able to decide a day before birth?
yeah. Is this why you record for stupid shit like this? You guys are disgusting.
And now she's going up to the cops, I guess. I don't know what's happening.
You're not making any sense. Are you on drugs?
That red hat that says "Make America Great Again," that tells people that you go along with this. So you might as well just put a swastika on the hat.
Don't do that.
You agree with what she said there?
I'm a flaming liberal, so yes, I agree with what she said.
Right. Where do you draw the comparison?
I think more so not just necessarily in the Make America Great Again on his part, which I do believe that he has very strong beliefs that most people are below him and his people.
Okay.
But more so not just him, but also other people that follow him, that believe in that, in the collective of a lot of the beliefs that they also believe in. So it's like you're representing one thing maybe, but usually the people that are that diehard representing it have very strong views that relate to a lot of other things that would make me also believe that they agree with some things that would also be represented by somebody with a swastika. If that makes
We're not the ones calling half the country deplorable.
Economic and social equality. I don't know really what that means, but maybe you could tell me.
Interesting. Yeah, it means that like all people kind of get the same opportunities. in
Like
life.
Cuba, or like Venezuela,
No, not like Cuba or Venezuela.
or like North Korea,
No, not like.
or like how the Soviet Union did it, right?
No, I'd like you to stop like interrupting me. I think that all those examples of like capitalist systems are ones that aren't.
The Soviet Union was not a capitalist system.
Yes, I know. And Venezuela is not a socialist system.
Sure it is. They nationalized their oil and gas reserves. They have nationalized healthcare, nationalized schooling. The government owns the means of production. How is it not a socialist country?
Because because of the history of U.S. interference, socialism cannot be like enacted as it should be.
It also sort of functions under the guise of socialism. I think a lot of the power figures
Venezuela's
are
still
corrupt
as fuck.
Yeah, can you show me any socialist country that works?
Yeah, most of Europe.
So maybe Norway, Sweden, or Finland?
Yeah.
But they're more economically free than America.
How so?
On the World Economic Freedom Index, they're ranked higher than America.
And so what does that like mean?
So lower taxes, less regulation. So they're not, I wouldn't consider them to be socialist countries.
They provide healthcare for all their citizens.
So does Cuba. How does that work?
Not well, because they're like...
Norway, Sweden, Finland also has a homogenous population.
I want to know about this.
yeah,
Why do
so-
you think, why is that sort of thing promoted?
Because it's 6 to 7 million people.
They don't need a homogenized society.
You don't need it.
But what is, I don't
Yeah,
even know
Because
the
they
rationale.
have low rates of immigration.
Can you explain to me why?
And so they
like,
have less people coming in their country every year that need Medicaid equivalent type social programs.
Can you explain to me why?
They have the
having-
strictest immigration policies in Europe, in Norway, Sweden, Finland, and they don't pay for a national military. 70 to 80% tax rates for the highest earners, of which I oppose completely. Sweden has full school choice, which I'm sure you support, right?
I don't.
Oh, okay, but Sweden has full school choice.
I mean,
Sweden's
if all,
also ranked higher on
If
the
all
world.
schools are funded equally, then yeah, I would support school choice. But the fact is that schools in like richer areas have better funding and thus give people better education, as opposed to poorer areas, and thus poor people who can't afford to like choose that rich school, who can't commute, who can't like afford the tuition, are not going to be able to get that level of education.
So why is it that we've spent more on education in the last 60 years federally, but our test scores have gotten worse? Why do you think that is?
Because testing is not a measure of...
How about graduation rates? I mean, any metric you use, our schools have gotten worse over the last 50 years.
funding
Where have they gotten?
I'm sorry?
Where have they gotten?
Baltimore. There are 7 schools in inner city Baltimore where they can't find
So it's
one
probably
kid in
systematic
8th grade.
racism.
Oh, so wait, so do you think America's more racist today than it was in the 1960s?
In some levels, yeah.
Really? You think America's more racist today than it was in the 1960s?
I
Well,
think
still more racist than it should be.
I mean, yeah, I want to say like I think like net racist has
I mean,
do you want it to be more racist?
Yeah,
'Cause that's what it
like-
seems
No, no,
like.
it's not. Actually, I think
but
we're
it's-
significantly less racist, so you can't blame racism
just
for
'cause
why these
something's
communities are
less
not
doesn't
doing
mean
well.
it's
Really? Could
No,
you not blame,
significantly
like,
less.
Could you not blame,
What
for
is your
example,
race metric?
Well, let me look. Okay, so in the 1960s, blacks weren't allowed in the National Basketball Association. In the 1960s, the Civil Rights Act hadn't been passed until 1965. In the 1960s, blacks were not allowed to go to the same schools as whites. So, like, that's my metric. So we passed the Civil Rights Act in 1965.
That's kind of anecdotal.
yeah,
Oh,
those
how
are
about this? We had a black president elected twice in 2008 and 2012.
Oh man, so since a black president was elected, we fixed racism,
we
right?
quintupled. No, not we haven't finished racism. We're significantly less racist. So the talking point of the far left is that the inequities that the black community and minority communities are experiencing is because of systemic racism. In order for that argument to be true, America would have had the same sort of amount of racism over the last 60 years.
About a woman's body count.
Do you? People actually care about that shit?
Men in general.
If a man is fucking asking my body count, he can get fucked. Who gives a f? Oh my god, that's so stupid. People actually ask that shit?
Yes.
Okay, well then you're talking to the wrong man. If a man is ever asking about your body count,
She doesn't see how racist she sounds when she accuses Charlie Kirk of having white privilege. She says that even though he gives good facts, she really should apologize.
Or gotten more racist. Any sort of logical analysis of history would show we're significantly less racist today than they were in the 1960s. So then what is it?
Any level of racism is still racism, dude.
I think there's individual racism, but the idea that there's widespread systemic racism does not exist.
Okay, what about, okay, so here's an example. You guys want to, okay, so, up until probably the mid-70s, like neighborhoods could choose not to sell homes to black people. That's why a lot of black people live in like certain like parts of town, you would say. And those are also generally parts of town that have like underfunded schools and stuff like that.
So the Asian community went through the exact same type of discrimination, yet the Asian community is the richest community per race in America.
So are you implying something about the black community?
No, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying the Asian community did not have a series of social welfare programs designed at them, such as federal welfare systems, broken public schools. The Asian community were one of the poorest communities in the 1940s. Now they are the richest community per race in America. How did that happen?
So you're saying black people are...
They were taking advantage. Black people are poor because of the Democrat Party, who got them addicted to government benefits, stuck them in clustered urban areas, put them in broken schools,
Is that
and
the
started a war
Democratic
on
Party
police.
did all of that?
Yes, show me one urban city where there's a Republican mayor. Show me one urban area where there's more Republican congressmen than Democrat congressmen.
Like currently?
Yes, or even the last 50 years. It's Democrats that run the urban cities. Oakland,
Yeah,
Portland,
thank fuck.
Chicago, Philadelphia. But these are the most, so you said thankful, but these are the worst parts of America. The most murderous, the most bankrupt, the most hopeless are all run by Democrats.
Yeah, but there's no way you can like make some sort of causation if there's no sort of control for that.
Yeah.
You can't
Well, sure-
like say it
sure
would
you
be
can.
worse without a Republican. No, there's no
Well,
way you can
well,
make that sort of
listen,
inference.
I'm
It's
glad-
impossible.
so
you
if-
just can't make that inference.
Okay,
You just
so
don't
when-
have data for it. I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah, so the
Just
when
stop trying to make
oh,
shit
so,
up.
okay, can I give you examples?
No.
No? Oh, you don't want facts?
They're not
Do facts
facts.
Do facts bother you?
No.
Okay, so
You
when
are gonna make up fake facts.
Republicans run cities, municipalities, and counties have much lower levels of poverty over 30 years, better run schools, more likely to balance their budget, much more business competitive.
That could be
nine
correlation,
out
not
of 10 of the most business competitive states in America are all run by Republican governors. And
not
Republican, yeah, it is actually.
I mean, that doesn't
Utah, Nevada, Arizona.
that doesn't necessarily have any sort of relevance to your point.
So why would you say that the broken inner cities in America all have Democrat mayors, and the best run states all have Republican governors? Why would you say that?
I would say
that's the case?
possibly because people see that Democratic mayors and Democratic government officials can fix the broken system.
Have Democrats fixed anything in the last 60 years?
No, because
Oh, they know. You're right. Okay.
Because we've had a Republican-controlled Congress.
No, we've had a
Congress-
Democrat-controlled president from 2008 to 2016.
The president does not have like ultimate power over
No,
the
you're right.
United
Obama
States.
controlled the House and the Senate, passed the health care bill that destroyed 1/6 of our economy, borrowed trillions of dollars, raised taxes, grew government, and then Republicans took back the House of Representatives and
Honestly,
eventually
I
the
don't know
presidency.
why you're so upset when you still have a of money, dude.
What do you mean?
I mean, you are.
I'm not upset. You're the one that just swore. I'm actually quite happy and thankful I live in the greatest country ever to exist.
Yeah, excuse me for swearing. I feel like this entire get-up is just you afraid of losing your economic and like white male privilege.
Wait, what privilege do I have as a white person?
A sunburn.
What he says about immigration in Scandinavian countries is wrong. Sweden and Denmark have big problems because of migration. His ideas are from before migration, but now migration has hurt their systems.
Saying like we're tired of straight white men in society is really as like explicit as it sounds. I think it's just contributing to a general idea that like we're tired of straight white men having the power and everything, you know, and it's like we as women of color, as like students at this university, like we're very much capable of certain things and we don't have the same privileges that are offered to straight white men.
And I've been hearing that from a lot of the ladies that I've been talking to today. Talk to me about what some of those privileges are that, you know, straight white men have that you don't have. Talk to me about that.
I think I don't really know. Have you ever...
She's lucky to live in America, where she has food, water, shelter, clothes, and education, even if she didn't use it well.
Why in your movies and your discussions do you selectively ignore and misrepresent the recent burgeoning medical and behavioral literature that demonstrates that gender-affirming care and similar medical interventions demonstrate consistent improvements to mental health, suicidality, and general well-being?
Which study are those?
There are probably like 30 studies by this point, all produced in the last like 10 years or so. Anybody can look them up on...
Okay, well just, here's the problem. Here's the problem. I'm not impressed by just you saying a study,
no,
okay? Because
studies.
Fine, well there could be 100 studies, there could be 1,000 studies.
Them.
Great, yeah, and I have read them, have you?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so I'll give you one example. I don't know if you can give me any examples, but I'll give you one example of a recent study and this was just in the headlines. It said that it proved that double mastectomies for minor girls improves their well-being. And this was a study, and it was proven, peer-reviewed. Then you read how they actually conducted this study, and you find out that they interviewed a very small selection of girls in one region of the country, all from the same socioeconomic background, and they did their follow-up, I think it was 3 months later. And based on a follow-up, a few months later, they've determined that, oh yeah, it improves well-being. You see the problem here? Now, I don't.
There are many, but this is the exception to the rule. Many.
I don't think it is.
Use observational data with various follow-up from like 6 months to 5 years to 10 years, and they don't demonstrate what you claim.
Well, you can say the word study, but what I'm saying is when you
look them up.
Okay, great, great.
You can Google them.
Yeah, and so can you. It sounds like you haven't.
I've done it a good bit.
Oh, you've done it a good bit. Okay, all right. Well, I just gave you an
transgender health, PubMed, NIH, gender-affirming care, and I mean it's
okay.
Let
me ask you this.
Anybody can look at this.
What's your name?
Jacob.
Jacob. Let me ask you this. How do you think they would have large-scale, long-term studies about the effects of these drugs and these surgeries on children when we only started doing it to children at a large scale a few years ago? So how could that even exist?
Yeah, I think scale is probably one of the more prevalent challenges of these studies.
Okay, so we're already hearing that there are challenges in these studies.
Every study has challenges. Like any scientific truth, like all of the scientific truth that we take for granted today, they're built on methodologies that fundamentally have flaws. Like if you want to make a specific critique, you can do that. If you're talking about Well, if you're talking about sample size, there are very well demonstrated statistical results that you don't need 10,000 people to get like a statistically significant value.
Yes, you do.
Here's no, absolutely not. It's like a very basic statistical fact.
Jacob.
A sample size greater than 1,000, that can that has very nice asymptotic properties. Like,
Jacob, here's what I know. If you want to even begin to claim that a study has proven that castrating and sterilizing little boys helps them in the long run.
Changing someone's gender through surgery because they feel bad is like cutting off your head to fix a headache.
You would be okay with restricting freedom of speech. You would be okay with restricting or creating actually speech laws if that were voted on by the masses.
If the masses want it, absolutely.
Really?
Yes, I absolutely would.
I'm surprised, as someone, you said you're a PhD candidate,
Yeah.
so you're obviously a very smart person, how you don't see the grave risk, just the unbelievable risk of violence associated with centralizing the power and who determines speech and what's permissible.
I simply ask you for the source.
Okay.
Can you give me the source
Nazi
on that?
Germany, Soviet Russia, Castro, Che Guevara regimes, current UK, Canada, Maoist China. Need I go on?
I'm just asking you to give me a scholarly source that says that.
Okay, I don't have a scholarly source with me right now saying that Nazi Germany is worse off with speech laws than the United
And so
States.
what
You asked me for sources. One country that has better net results for human freedom and human rights by restricting speech. What's your source? One.
Getting called a straight white man.
We're good. And everything's really good. Everything's looking really good. We're in the lowest time of poverty in human history, and poverty is exponentially reducing every year. Trust me, we're in a very good time.
This is really interesting coming from a straight white man.
Well, okay, yes.
Like, everything's always
yes.
been good for you. I'm a minority.
Yeah.
Nothing's good for me.
I'm Palestinian. I'm Arab.
You're Arab.
Yeah.
Through these procedures, and we've checked back with them in adulthood to see how they're doing. Those studies do not exist. They can't exist because we weren't doing this to kids at anywhere near this scale even 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. What that tells us, Jacob, is that the kids we have right now, they are the sample.
Actually,
okay, they are the experiment. We are experimenting on children right now.
That's just demonstrably, you can easily demonstrate that that's not the case.
And are you, Jacob, are you able to just use your common sense as well? I mean, you can rely on studies and you can just shout the word study at me and then start,
No, I'm not
you can start, let me finish.
Sorry.
You can shout about studies and list random medical organizations. That doesn't impress me. There was a time when every medical organization would have told you that, bloodletting is the way to cure every disease. There was a time when every medical organization told you that the vaccine, stopped transmission. So, yeah. But here's what I want to know. Are we able to just use common sense as well? And based on common sense, determine that it is certainly not a good idea to sterilize and castrate children and remove body parts from children before they are possibly old enough to consent to those procedures. Don't we know that just based on basic moral decency and common sense?
Sure, but you're trying to make causal statements about the impacts of medical interventions. You need to demonstrate that with science, and I'm not mentioning, and I'm not like making an ethos argument, look at this organization. I'm saying that there are very rigorous ways to substantiate your claims, and the people that are spending lots of time are doing that, and they come to conclusions that are very different from the ones that you say. I'm not making an appeal to ethos. Anybody can look up these studies and just see how they're done.
Right, and these are also studies being done by the people who it just so happens are profiting from the procedures that they say work, which is really interesting. But
do you think your professors are getting paid by some?
Yeah, a lot of them are.
You think there's somebody paying your professors for? I think you should.
How do you think it works, Jacob?
Because that's very unrealistic.
Do you think they're not being paid?
No.
They ain't doing this for free, I tell you that.
No. They're definitely being paid. But if there's some shady organization paying them, I'm sorry, that's sort of silly. Talk with your professors. That's sort of silly.
Okay. Let me just ask.
How do you know anything? There's always some conspiracy.
I think you can know things without asking for permission sometimes from professors to say that you know them.
No, I'm just saying.
And one of those things that you can know is that it's never okay to castrate a child. I mean, I don't need, Jacob. Thank you,
Matt.
Why are so many people so eager to change other people's kids' genders?
Especially people of color, we know the privileges or the advantages certain races have.
Talk to me about some of those privileges that white people have that you guys don't have.
I would just be okay, I guess I'll start with I am a black queer person. If I were to just walk amongst the streets, I'm also women I look very feminine if I were to walk across the streets in the dark as a black queer female presenting person, I would not feel safe because I feel like I would be pretty targeted. But if I were a white cis man, I don't think I'd be like the type of person someone would come up to and hate crime, because that's just not what happens.
I'm certainly cognizant of my own privilege because of my own race, this color of my skin.
What privileges are those?
Lots of I mean, like, I think there are certain assumptions that come with certain people. Like, when they look at a black person or an Indian person, they automatically have this profile in their head, racial profiling. And that still exists. I mean, we're not going to escape that until human depravity itself goes away.
Talk to me about some of the privileges that white men are awarded that you guys are not awarded.
Definitely, like, I guess just getting away with situations. Like, if I were to, like, I don't know, like, I guess, here you go. I have to think about it. I can't.
It's situations like if I had a problem with, like, a male teacher and they were a white cis male, there was less of a chance for something to happen to them because of it. Like, I could literally report them for anything, but because of that, if they were, like, upstanding in the community, sucks to me, basically.
Do you think that it would be the same reaction if it was like a black male teacher?
No.
No. I think this problem would be solved immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like POC people are, like, more targeted, or minorities are more targeted, especially with, like, crimes in general, or if a person of color was to do something wrong, people would deal with it more quickly than if it was a cis white male.
So you mentioned straight white men having more privileges. Can you talk to me about what some of those privileges are?
Yeah, so generally, there's not really ever a sense of, like, discrepancy whenever someone is trying to, let's say, for instance, there is a man who commits a crime and he's, a regular looking white guy. Police are, generally more likely to not have adverse reactions to them. Say if they're, like, having any sudden movements or sharp movements, they'll generally be more lenient with them compared to if it was, like, a black or brown person.
Where do you get that analysis from?
Like statistics, crime statistics, rates of arrest compared to comparing white people to, like, black and brown people or minorities in general.
What would you say to...
It all comes down to this. You don't know my experience as a woman of color, but let me tell you your experience as a straight white man.
Do you believe the freedom of speech should be protected?
Yes. Yes.
And how do we do that?
By continuing to, like, speak our minds and go to protests and talk about what we believe in.
More importantly, we need to protect the free speech of people we don't agree with.
So I just got attacked by this dude.
Come back and have a gun, you fucking dog cup!
Just sprayed something on me. Why are you following me?
Oh, they about to go buy some, look at these liberal racists. They coming to buy some Trump memorabilia. Tell me why you don't like Trump. Why don't you like Trump? So tell me why you don't like Trump. Tell me. Tell me why. Tell me why. You.
He's racist.
So prove it. How's he racist? Prove it. Tell me. Give me one racist thing. Don't walk away. Tell me. Did you not know that Obama, those are Obama's pictures? Did you know that? That was during Obama's president.
He promised to reopen coal mines and give jobs back to coal miners.
Thanks for sticking around. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Let us know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.